Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. I am a labor and delivery nurse by day, and all the other hours I normally read. So I was gonna do my May reviews because it is June 1st today. I'm just really on top of it this month because, well, I don't know. I, for some reason, had all my books like written down and organized, but also just got my hair done. So just get it more blonde for the summer, and I just felt like, well, my hair is done, I will film a video. It was curlier. So my hair, it's like my hair is too clean. So it just won't hold any curl right now. But it looked really good when I walked out of the hairstylist. So yeah, and if you can't tell, I've already started my freckles for the season as well because it's been so nice here the last week. So it's currently like 92 outside, and I'm like upstairs in my house, so it is like real humid up here. So if I start just profusely sweating, I'm sorry. It's hard to just sit in a really hot room. All right, so I started the month off with a bang. One of my favorite authors is Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I just feel like she never lets me down. I don't even like tennis. Sorry to all you tennis fans. I mean, I guess I appreciate it, I respect it. I'm not a big sports person at all either. But this book made me love tennis. It made me cry about tennis. She's such a good writer. Like the like romantic characters in here, the father-daughter relationship in here, the rival relationship. I just love it so much. And I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid can make like not necessarily like mundane, but like high stakes, but also like I just don't feel like ever threatened. Like I know it's gonna turn out. I know I'm gonna love it. It's just so good. It's like almost a comfort read because I just know that they're gonna be 4 or 5 stars. So yeah, this was a 5er for sure. I just checked my little notes to make sure, but 100%. And a whole month later, this is probably the one that I remember the most of the books that I read this month, and it was so good. So good. So yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid. Carrie Soto, the bitch is back. It was so good. Loved it. Then I just felt like I hadn't been reading much, and I needed to just like feel like I was accomplishing something. So I read volume 4 of Fence. So if you've seen my previous videos, I have read the other 3 volumes of this so far. And this takes like 15 minutes to read it. I love the illustrations. I love the storyline. I love there's like rivalry in here. So yeah, again, don't love sports so much, but really into fencing because of this. So I just feel like it's proof that like you don't even have to be interested in the subject matter as long as you like really like the characters. And yeah, so Fence, if you like graphic novels, this is a series that I would recommend getting into if you have never tried graphic novels either. I really liked this. I gave it 5 stars. Then I listened to Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. So this is the Matthew Perry autobiography. So I love Friends. This was not it, man. I thought there was going to be more like Friends content, like behind the scenes. I knew that he had like a drug and alcohol problem, but that is all it was. At times it felt like it was a little bit glorified. It was just, I don't know. It just rubbed me all the wrong ways. So I gave it 3 stars. I don't know. I feel like it's really awkward to also rate autobiographies because like it's your life. I read it quickly, mostly because I just like had it in, because it was an audiobook. I just like had it in while I was doing a bunch of like errands and chores, but I and it's not the drug and alcohol use, because like I get that, like I feel like you can write a great autobiography with drug and alcohol use because almost every celebrity has it. Like, but like Open Book by Jessica Simpson was so good, and this would not recommend. So sorry if you want behind the scenes of Friends. It's like he mentions Friends just a few times, and it's like it was great. I was drunk the whole time. So yeah, I don't know. No. I feel like that was maybe my most disappointing book of the month because, yeah, I think it was my lowest rated even too. So, yeah. Then I read Icebreaker. I got this for my birthday for my sister. So this is about a hockey player and a figure skater, and he like helps her practice after her partner is injured, or like maybe injured, you know. So I gave it 4 stars. There were just some like things that annoyed me a little bit that made it not a 5-star, but it was great. Like the chemistry was great. It was spicy. The storyline was cute. The characters were lovable. So if you're looking for a cute little romance, this is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I would recommend this one. And I feel like that one was not overhyped. It was good. It was a good hyped. Then I finished the the Shepherd series, the Murphy Shepherd series. So Record Keeper, it's Water Keeper. I cannot ever remember the second one. It's Record Keeper and then something else Keeper and then Water Keepers, Record Keeper. I don't know what the middle one is. I want to say it's like Memory Keep. Nope, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So this is the conclusion of the story of so Bones and Murphy Shepherd, who are they're like, so Murphy Shepherd is a priest, but also like a special agent who tracks down and takes out child traffickers and like gets kids back from trafficking. I guess not even child, just like all trafficking. So this is the story. So there's like somebody that's kind of been after them, and this is like wraps it up. And then Bones is his mentor who like got him started on this, and it kind of like concludes like Bones is like past history and all of that. So it was very good. I listened to this one on audiobook. I think I've read the other 2. So I gave it 4 stars. It was good. Yeah. I feel like Charles Martin's books, I don't know if they all have a religious element. But they're like religious without like cramming it down your throat, you know? And that like it deals with the messy, which I appreciate. Like I guess what I don't love about like say like a Lynn Austen, etc., is that like everything just turns out super well. We're like, these people have been trafficked. There's trauma. So I just like that it doesn't make everything perfect. Like there's, even after people are rescued, sometimes they have really messy lives, and I just think that is what life is actually like. So I appreciate that. And all of his other books have been good as well. So that series I would recommend, but really any of his standalone are very good. You may have heard of The Mountain Between Us. That was made into a movie. I can't think of the other ones, but he's had some really good ones. Then keeping along with the like heavy material, we read As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. This is one that has been recommended to me. I feel like multiple booktubers have recommended this. So this is about the war in Syria, which is still happening. So this is like a current conflict. I think it started in I want to say like 2009-ish. And so Syria is trying to become a democracy, and the like ruling regime doesn't want it to be. So they've been fighting for like 15 plus years. This is, I believe it's a young adult. So it is, it has like really big words. But it is heavy, and it was very well written. It was beautiful. The twists in here are amazing. I feel like I don't want to give too much away. The premise, though, is that our main character is 18, 19 years old, and she's living with her sister-in-law. The rest of her family she doesn't know if they're even alive. So this town that she's living in has been they get bombed every day. And she was training to be a pharmacy. She was a pharmacy student who was trying to become a pharmacist. But when everyone was killed, she is now one of the lead surgeons. So not even something that she wanted to do, but she's got medical knowledge. The head doctor in this hospital is a dermatologist or endocrinologist. Regardless, not someone that you would maybe put as your head trauma surgeon, but that's what happens in war. So, and then it also deals with just all of the trauma that she has. It's written beautifully. And so the author wrote the book because she realized that people have no idea that this is even happening in America. And it's true. I know that Syria is not a place that you would want to travel, but I did not realize that they had a war that had been going on for this long and how devastating it is. I know about Syrian refugees, but not necessarily what they're refuging from. So this is one of those books that it's hard to recommend because it's awful, but it is so good. And I just feel like every once in a while I need to read a book like this that just reminds me of how blessed I am to be an American that's not currently in war. My goodness, I forgot how many heavy books I read in a row. This is ridiculous. So then I listened to The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. So again, this was super heavy to listen to. The premise of this book is that Jim Crow were the laws that kept African Americans after they were no longer enslaved. It still kind of kept them enslaved. So specific laws for them and just ways to keep them down and keep them from voting, keep them from owning land, having independence, making money. So the premise of this is that the new Jim Crow laws is how frequently we incarcerate people of color, specifically Black men. And yeah, it really is shocking, some of the statistics that she says. This was a very heavy book. It was hard to listen. It was hard to keep my attention while listening to it. I think maybe reading it would have been better. It was a lot of statistics. But overall, I understood what she was getting at and what she was saying. And it is shocking. She points out how, no one has actually, nobody's really advocating for prison reform because it is such a lucrative business, which is terrifying. And then she just talks about how it, you don't even need to, it's not racist anymore because you just, you could find anybody breaking the law, really, all the time. White people actually break the law just as much. Our numbers in prisons just aren't equal. The percentages don't make sense based on our population. So you don't have to be racist. You just have to slap them with a felony. And then, voting, job, everything gets changed for them. Their rights are not necessarily all removed, but very much restricted. Their whole life is changed because of that felony. So it was a very sobering book to read. I gave it an overall rating of 4, mostly because of the content, but it was hard. So as far as the way it was written, ease of reading, I would have given it a 3-star, but just because it was very eye-opening, I gave it a 4-star. And then I needed something very different. So I picked up a romance that you probably have heard of because this is like the TikTok, Instagram, booktube baby. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I had never heard of Lucy Score until this came out. And I gotta say, 5 stars all around. It was easy to read. I mean, it is significant amounts of pages. It is 552 pages. But the characters were super lovable. It wasn't just like a fluffy romance. There was some like deeper issues, deeper themes. So our main character comes into town because her sister, her twin sister, asks for help. And when she gets there, she is like ridiculed by people who think she's her sister. And her sister is Trouble with a capital T. So everyone in the town hates her because they think she's her sister. And then she kind of, I don't want to give the rest of it away, but she deals with the consequence.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Why is my Siri happening right now? No. Be quiet.
Okay.
Sorry. I have no idea what my computer is speaking about. That's scary. So she's dealing with the consequences of her sister and kind of what she's left behind. And then, of course, there's some sexy men. And things happen. There is another one out. My sister, I think, is currently reading it, and then she said I get to read it. And then there's going to be a third one that is being released, I think, in like August. So I will definitely be reading those. I mean, unless the second one is absolutely awful. I doubt it because this was 5 stars. Even if that one's 3 stars, I'll probably still read it. So yeah, Things We Never Got Over. Great. I mean, not light because it's a lot of pages, but it really does read so fast that and there's so much to the story. And they're big words. They're pretty big words. So I recommend. I read so many like autobiographies in the last few months, and I feel like this one I was just done. So Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. So he played Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter series. And rumor on the street is the new like HBO show about Harry Potter. He's gonna play Lucius Malfoy, so his dad's character, which I would be interested in. So this is his memoir. Again, we talk about drugs and spiraling out of control. He also touches on like mental health, which is nice. And he does talk a little bit about Harry Potter. And he talks about Emma Watson, which it just seems like they're in love, but whatever. I guess not. Like the foreword is by her. He talks about her. I don't know. I think they should get together. So that was the most interesting part for me. I don't know. It just got like, it's not long, but it got long, if that makes sense. I don't know that I like loved his writing style, or that like, I guess I'm not super sure what he had to say. So I gave it 3 stars. I wanted to give it more. So I need to be done with autobiographies for a while. Maybe even biographies. Just need to read like a bunch of fantasy or something. So just looking at my TBR shelf, I have nothing queued up. So I'm gonna try to stay away from autobiographies. I feel like there were just a lot of like celebrities that released them recently. So yeah. And then Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. This is not like, I feel like this is very different than her other books. Her other books, so she is a PhD. Yeah, PhD in social work. She studies shame, at least that's how she started. Her books are amazing. So Daring Greatly, Braving the Wilderness, can't think of any. The Gifts of Imperfection. I've loved all of them. I am a perfectionist, and I love it because she talks a lot about vulnerability and wholeheartedness, and I hate being vulnerable. So I have found them to be very moving and applicable in my life, whether I apply it or not. So Alice of the Heart, I was expecting like more of a, like she tells a lot of stories about her research, which is just so fascinating, and she's an amazing storyteller. This was less story, but she breaks down in each chapter. So like chapter 8 is Places We Go When We Fall Short, and it talks about shame, self-compassion, perfectionism, guilt, humiliation, and embarrassment. So then she proceeds to talk about like what shame actually is, the difference between so like the 4 elements of shame resilience. I feel like shame was a big topic. Sometimes she just like defines it and talks about how we like use it wrong. There's a chapter on do you see this what? It's real hot up here. Places we go when life is good. Joy, happiness, calm, contentment, gratitude, foreboding joy. So most of the book is that. So I read this very slowly because I would read like 2 or 3 chapters at a time. Because there wasn't like the story to pull you through. But then at the end, she kind of ties all of it together and gives kind of like the like how to like what to do with this basically. So it was the last kind of chapter was like cultivating meaningful connection. And then she gives a theory and then like backs it all up. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars just mostly because it didn't have that as much of the story element. She still does tell stories in the chapters, but just not as much. So I feel like Daring Greatly is maybe my favorite of hers. I think that might have been the first one I read. But so good. Like there's a Brene Brown special on Netflix that I just highly recommend. She is an amazing speaker. I would love to see her. You can also watch her TED Talk that went super like viral that she was not expecting at all. So yeah. Then I listened to The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. So this is a YA novel about a girl who is just moved to Catholic school with her brother. Her brother's gay. She's a lesbian. Her mom, neither of them are out. Her brother is dealing with a lot of like suicidal thoughts, depression. Their dad is in Mexico because he was deported. Mexico? I think Mexico. He was deported to whatever Spanish-speaking country. I should know that. So they like live distantly because of that. And there's a lot of family, friend, relationship. It was a good YA. Like kind of like navigating coming out and like who you are and self-worth and then like, yeah, being at a really religious school when you and your brother are both like closeted and being supported by some and not by others. And yeah, so I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was an audiobook. It was entertaining. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I feel like I gave it 4 stars because I felt like it did exactly what it needed to do, because it was like YA. I don't know that I would necessarily like recommend it like crazy to a bunch of people, if that makes sense. Then I listened to The Lady's Mine by Francine Rivers. I love Francine Rivers. Ever since I read, I think, Atonement Child when I was quite young. She just is a really good storyteller. So I read whatever book she writes. I had no idea what it was going to be. And I feel like the title is kind of strange. It totally makes sense later. Because they're in a mining town. So that makes it make sense. So this is like 1800s, like California Gold Rush, and our main character, her stepdad doesn't like how like uppity she is. She won't marry who she wants to. So she inherits her uncle's like land out in I think we're in California. Yeah. And then when she gets there, it's like, oh, actually, maybe he was murdered and maybe he doesn't actually have a fortune. So I got to figure my life out now. I really liked the characters. You just never knew what was going to happen. There was some like conflict and some like ominous stuff. There was romance. It was just a delightful read. So I gave it 4 stars. I don't actually know why I gave it 4 and not 5. But it was good. Like if you like, it wasn't like overtly like Christian, like, but it was it was Christian, but not overtly, like not like in your face. It's just a really good story with a little bit of like Christianity sprinkled in there. So yeah, I liked it a lot. Then I listened to Fierce, Free, and Full of Fire by Jen Hatmaker. So this was the one that she released in 2020, which this was like on hold for a really long time, I think, and I finally got it. So I love her book For the Love. I've read Of Mess and Moxie and liked that. I just feel like For the Love was so, like, it was just like her writing about random stuff and telling stories, and it was so funny. And this one I feel like just felt like a lot of repetition of what she's already said in the past. So I gave this one a 3. I still love her. I love the way that she tells a story. I just felt like I had heard these stories before, and especially because this was like right before her and her husband got divorced. And so, I don't know, I just thought there was going to be more like fire and brimstone in here, but I don't feel like there's any information. It just kind of felt like she's just kind of wrote like fluff, like very surface level, like very like you should do this, but no, I don't know, like not a ton of like story to back it up. So I did find that one disappointing. So especially now, because as I look back, like I don't remember any of what she said anything about. So yeah, bummer. But I would read her next one. I love her. Then I read A Slate of Shadows. So Unkindness of Magicians, I gave 5 stars. 2 years ago, maybe not. But that was an older book. So I read it. It was so good. I had no idea that she was going to release another one. So this is the continuation. I think it's A Slate of Shadows. Slate? Should have looked this up before now. So I feel like I can't tell you much about what this is about. The first book is about magicians, current day, and every like generation, they fight to the death for someone to be like the like top of the food chain for magic. They're like in charge of the magical world. I think they call it the unseen world. And so in the first book, they're having one of the, gosh, I need to like figure out my words here. Turning, I feel like they call it like a turning or something. The turning. I got it right. So it's a set of challenges and they fight to the death. So like every family has a representative. So in the first there's different families, different representatives, but there's a lot of like fracturing of the families. So like some people are representing other people's families, and there's a lot of drama. There's kind of a lot of characters to keep apart, but I feel like the first book is written so well that it's not hard to do. And yeah, like high stakes drama. The magic is super interesting. The lore behind it is super interesting. So I love the world. And magic was kind of like broken a little bit in the first one because of what happens. So this is the consequences. And I feel like that's all that I can say. This one I felt like I gave it 4 stars. It just didn't pack quite as much of a punch. Like it was like slowly building. And then at the end, it resolved beautifully, but it just felt a little slow. Oh, gosh. It felt a little slow to start. So I would still highly recommend this series if you like fantasy, like dark fantasy. So good. And then I listened to The Swiss Family Robinson, which I hope in my heart of hearts that you have seen the Disney film The Swiss Family Robinson. So it is based off of this book that was written in 1812, originally in German, by Johann David Weiss. And the book is different. The book is very much this family is shipwrecked, and then they very, very entertainingly explain to you how they use plants and to make rubber. They find a rubber tree, and the family is very intelligent, so they make a lot of things from what they find. So this felt kind of like a behind the scenes from the Disney movie, because the Disney movie, they have all these sweet things that they've made, but they do not go into how they made them. So it is as a child, well, more as an adult, you're kind of speculating how did they find all this stuff? Well, turns out that there was a reason. They actually had information for why they had all those things. I just assumed they got it all from the ship. But some of, a lot of it, they made themselves. And so that was very interesting. I do feel like Disney did a really great job adapting it because they made it better. So much better. This book has, there's, they call them savages, which now we know they're not. So that kidnap their family members, but then it ends up being fine. It's like a missionary situation kind of a thing. Where in the movie there's pirates. And so I just feel like pirates are easier to hate, right? Yeah. So it's just easier. And they fight them. It's super exciting. So now I need to watch the movie again because I love it so much. Swiss Family Robinson. I feel like I watched it 5 or so years ago. I just feel like it's one of those that holds up. The bummer that I found though is that they did eliminate one whole son. Disney did. So it's Fritz, Ernst, and Francis in the Disney movie. And in the book it's Fritz, Ernest, Jack, and Francis. So, they probably didn't want to have another childhood actor. And instead of having a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, they split the difference and did an 8-year-old. So it doesn't really take away, but it's oh, that kind of sucks to have a whole character gone because the kids all do different things. So, yeah, I gave it 4 stars, and it just dragged a little bit at the end, but yeah, I feel like it was a good classic. It was entertaining. Then I read the book Half a Soul for my book club. And this I'm actually supposed to read for our next meeting. So, no spoilers. Don't watch this if you haven't read it yet. But this is, it's Pride and Prejudice meets Ella Enchanted. It's very, very Pride and Prejudice in the kind of dry humor, kind of poking fun at the prim and properness, which I love about Pride and Prejudice. So the main character had a run-in with an elf when she was a child, and her cousin stabbed him with these knitting scissors. Or sewing scissors. So there's elves, which is super fun. And so there's magic, and because he cut her soul in half, took half her soul. So because she doesn't have that half of her soul, it's her dramatic side. So she doesn't get embarrassed, has no shame. She doesn't really understand propriety, which is so fun. It makes her such a fun character because she's just kind of whatever, why would I be embarrassed about that? And it, of course, in prim and proper little England, people get their panties in a twist when you are alone in your nightgown with a man, and she just doesn't understand why that's even a big deal. So, I gave this 5 stars. I read it, it took me a little bit to get into it just because I didn't have time. And then I had a day to read, and I pretty much finished it in one sitting. So it was very good. It was just sweet and cute. And I love the banter and the romance. Oh, so good. So if you like Pride and Prejudice and you're okay with a little bit of like mysticalness, you should try this. And if you don't like fantasy, you still might want to try it because fantasy is the best genre. Absolute best. Then I finally gave in to peer pressure and read the first of the Throne of Glass series. So this is by Sarah J. Maas. I have read the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas, and I don't come after me, but I felt that they were a little overhyped. Especially the first one, which like now looking back, it's kind of like, okay, you did a smart thing here with this series, but it's a lot of book for like what happens and kind of like the payout. So definitely not my favorite fantasy. There's better fantasy out there. So I listened to Throne of Glass. I found it very entertaining. I gave it 4 stars. I liked the storyline. It kept me interested. I liked there's like a competition to be the king's like assassin. So the main character was an assassin, has like murdered lots of people, and she's like a prisoner that now she can compete to be free. So I loved all that. I just feel like the one thing that I'm missing in the Sarah J. Maas stories is like I'm not like obsessed with the characters, which I feel like is kind of the measure of like how much I like a book. Like if I love the main character, then I feel like I will watch them do anything. You can do stupid stuff or just talk, or like I'm in if I like a character. So that's the one thing that's missing, I feel like. Where like Taylor Jenkins Reid, I feel like I love all of her characters. I love all of Emily Henry's characters, which makes me love their books. Like even if nothing happened, I would still love them because I love their characters. But so that's where we're at. I will read more. I've heard that they get much better. But that's, yeah, so I'm embarking on that. I've heard that there's like 9, I think, in that series. So that it might take me a while to get through it. The last book that I just finished yesterday, just in the nick of time, is In an Absent Dream by Shauna McGuire. This is the 4th in the Wayward Children series. So this tells the story of Lundy. She is like an adult stuck in a children's body, I believe. So the Wayward Children series is about a school for kids who like went through fantasy doors into different worlds, and they're back, and they're like, you can't, like after you go to Narnia, like England's not the same. So they're in this school together, just kind of waiting for the doors to come back, if they will come back. And so that the first kind of told the story of the school in a moment in time, and then the rest of the novellas are kind of like hitting on one character in their story. They're very interesting. This was one of the better ones, I think. I really liked the second one. The third one just really wasn't for me. It was written well. I just maybe didn't connect with that story as much. But this one I gave 4 stars to. I don't really want to give away too much, but it's about like this girl goes to the goblin market where the biggest thing is like fair trade. So yeah, there's a lot of like rules and yeah. So if you like doors and fantasy, it's really nice because these audiobooks are like 4 hours. So it's so nice to just like have a little story to get through and then move on. So those are the books I read. So I felt like overall I had a pretty good month. I read a lot of heavy stuff. I read a lot of autobiographies, which I'm going to stop doing. Okay, let's remember that. So in June, I am doing This is Summerween. Is that what it's called? I think it's Summerween. Yeah. It's hot. I haven't turned my air on yet. So downstairs it's fine. Upstairs is hot. And I also have like slight sunburn over my whole body. Ginger. So it's really fun, the Summerween challenge. So the prompts this year are read something that's set in the fall, read something with orange and black on the cover, read a thriller, read something in the dark, and I forget what the other one was. Read a novella or a manga novel. So I have kind of picked out what I'm going to read. Like the reading in the dark, obviously that could be any book, but I feel like the point is to do like more like Halloween or like thriller, suspense. So I picked out some of that. So that will be fun. I feel like it's always fun to have a theme to kind of guide the TBR. And other than that, I feel like we're getting into like pool season. So I'll probably be trying to read some beach reads and burn through some of this TBR that I have. So I will see you probably at the end of June to go over my June books. And this was a very long video. So thanks for being here at the end. Happy reading!